Alrighty, Julie. So our next episode is really about words, about lexical systems. And I think we are really trying to get down to the heart of how words are political, and how people have the power to name things that shape our reality and how that gets outworked can just shape a person's life and what they have access to, what they're denied access to as well, and how they're treated. And so can we go into an example right now of an email that you found? How did you even encounter the Duke University? Was it just on the news? Or?
Yeah, it just went viral.
Okay.
I think it was 2019, but it was on so many like news covers and so on. And the reason why I started to look a bit more deeply into it, because I looked at like the original email from the professor, and then I looked at the students' letters and some like I don't think it was Reddit, but anyway, it's like text messages that they were sending out to different social media platforms. But the reason why it kind of like stood out was because it seemed to like capture a lot of things that people are thinking about inside an institution, but like never say. And it was just all kind of like it's all out there in the surface now. And it's in this email. And like as I was reading the sentences, I was thinking, whoa, you actually said that. Okay. And then seeing the students' responses, really counteracting in that regard seemed just really powerful. So I actually use this example with my students and get them to do a really like thorough piece of analysis. But it's a really good one, I think, also both for thinking about words, but also for grammar, and which we will talk about in the next one. But they're really related, and it's just so rich.
So let's have a look at some of the word choices in the email that are being made.
We might just identify that. So it is 2019, Duke University. Professor emails these biostatistics students about faculty reported that Chinese students are speaking Chinese in these common areas.
In their words, very loudly,
right? And so we might start to think about the semantic field, okay, meaning the kind of words that all kind of relate to the world of meaning. So I would say that we would identify this as, let's just start there, like as the observed speaking Chinese. Okay, that in itself already tells me it's about surveillance. Okay, so if we just establish that first, then you can see words like that associate with that, right? Like, what do you see?
In the observed, like in the brackets, right? The very loudly, all being in caps.
Yeah.
Like what? Sorry, I just need to remove myself from there. But like it's very intense, and the capitals signal something, but then putting that extra, very is like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah. Well, those are all the emotional intensifiers.
Yeah.
I guess, though, if we're looking for words for surveillance, we're thinking about the observed, or remember. Those are the related words that cluster together and they build a certain kind of reality, right? So we see those words, and so we're already kind of seeing the professor's way of thinking about the students and the language and the practice
and the positioning of
that's right.
I am the institutional authority coming to tell you
correct
the subject.
Yeah. So I think surveillance here actually makes sense. Then we can look at some words like the collocations, right? So words that habitually go together, and they sound official and institutional here. So we might see, I saw the examples of professional setting. Do you see any?
The consequences, it was like unintended consequences.
That's right. Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
So these collocations come together. So what we can then ask is like, what reality does this construct, right? And students are, ultimately that students are making these poor choices. The faculty is very caring. We're trying to help you. So this kind of points to, okay, so we know that the semantic field here is like surveillance, but the register. So what is the register that we're starting to see in this, right? Because as I said to you, I'm reading this email, I'm like, whoa, what's this? So register to me in this regard, maybe this is a very loose way to explain it, but like the tone or the style of speaking. Of the language, like, what's the register here? And, I started thinking about how, as I say, like, oh, you're making these bad choices and we're trying to help you, right? So the professor uses this kind of like caring mentor kind of register. And then it then, so she's establishing that using her words. And then you see so starkly, like in a different way, the students using those words probably too, but coming at it in a very different light.
And I think like one is also an email, and so it's much more I guess communicative in that sense, where you can communicate like, oh, I have the utmost respect for you. I'm just copying in. Like it's a lot more. You can almost feel the caring aspect of
so
it.
The mode,
yeah. But right. For the students, it's a letter. I think that they write, so it's a lot more. All more trying to challenge.
And I can't remember if this was true or not, but whether they sought some advice from. Like every university will have a student union, somebody to help you craft those letters. And probably the students all kind of came together to do that work. So you're going to probably use the highest of the highest, formal language, right?
Yep.
To really like get your words to cut through what they were feeling and thinking. So, the students' response word by word, I think, like when they use native language, they're signaling their identity. When they say the word punished, it seems to kind of like name the threat. Discriminatory, it labels the ideology. So they are shining a light on all of these things that they think, oh, you think we're duped? You think we don't know? We don't see? We see, right?
It's like challenging that reality that is being constructed by the email with a different discourse that cuts across the observational, punitive discourse, like the rights-based discourse. Yeah.
And they have to play it in their own way. As students, you're the one who has the power, but actually we're going to show you that we've got power too.
Correct.
Right.
Like, let me show you through these terms of discrimination. I think there was another word here, like the core institutional values, like just naming those and calling those out: equal opportunity, mutual respect. And the university has the responsibility, like they're actually putting it back on the university.
Yeah. So, in both of these versions, you can see that, languages, this is neither of these positions are ever going to be neutral. They're not neutral. But, and both do this ideological work through their word choices. So naming is always going to be a political thing. But in this regard, I would just say, language is never going to be an apolitical thing either. Anything. It's not even just naming, right? So that politics of naming is, something that Cramsch talks about. And what I really appreciated about this is like how she, it's about like those who name have the power to shape, right? How others perceive those events. But this is such a great example because the students, just as you said, they took that power back by renaming everything, right? And that's very clever.
Yeah.
I thought that was really powerful. And it just, again, it also made me just think about like history is written by the victors, right? So those who have the power, those who have the the language, the words, the sounds. And soon we will talk about the grammar. Is the ones who can have the last say and can speak up and can fight back. And I think, again, I know we talked about this before, but this is why language education is so important. Because, like it's just as you said in the episode before, it's like sound is sound. Well, we could say word is a word. Oh my God, like just use another word.
Yeah.
But actually the use of another word, it's pretty powerful. Yeah. Depending on how you position that and what's the context, the mode.
The semantics.
Yeah. And the tenor, right? The tenor. It's such a complex thing.
Yeah.
And, whether you have that knowledge or not is the important thing. And I just think all this preoccupation about, I need to have the perfect native speaker sound to get access. Like, no, you actually don't need to have that. Like, people want to know that you know how to perform a particular kind of genre. I need to get in there. And, we go back to your T sound. Like, say I do the T perfectly. Okay. Like, yes, let's talk about identity. Like if I talk like that anyway, you think this woman is weird. We don't want her in my community or whatever. But we really should. And I think this comes across in the Hernandez video too. Do you see the way that he's performing this? All the body movements that he makes, and that some of those body movements are cultural kind of body movement that he's making. He's not just like walking around the stage and moving his body. So it's a whole identity package. When I look at that whole package, does that make sense for the community that, I'm trying to build or I'm part of, I'm proud of? Do we want this person in there, right? And so, yeah, it is never just about language. So that's one thing I really want to make clear. It's like language is so important, but it's also, language is like connected to everything.
Yep.
The way you look, the way you sound, how you perform. So, yeah, at the end of the day, you can say the T all you like. If I don't like your face, then that's, that's another marker. So yeah, I think it's in these ways that it's not right to say that, oh, those people have power and they can do all these things to these people. It's like, it's true as the politics of naming, those who name have the power to shape how others perceive things, but it's also power is everywhere, and students have power too. And when they have the language, then they can reclaim and rename. And that's amazing, right? But if they don't know that, either in the first language or second language, they just don't have that kind of concept or words. How can they do it? And I really don't think they can just do it with words. I mean, you need to have grammar.